We're getting ready to make one of my favorite go-to, I don't know whether I want to call it breakfast, snack, dessert, but it's cinnamon rolls. I mean, you can eat a cinnamon roll any time of the day, any occasion. These have no yeast, so we don't have to worry about waiting for an hour for it to rise and come back. You know what? I love yeast breads and rolls, but I ain't got time for that. I am not the baker. I know it seems like I bake a lot and I'm always baking bread and things, but I am not the baker, so I don't want to wait. The first thing I'm going to do is put some butter in my pan. Now, I am not buttering my pan for non-stick because I am using a Hasselback actual brazier pan. So this is like a cast iron and stainless steel pan. It's extremely heavy. It's well coated. It's stainless steel, so I don't need it for non-stick. If you're using a regular baking dish or a glass dish, please butter the inside of your baking vessel really well. The reason I am putting a little butter on the bottom of mine is because when I sit my cinnamon rolls on there, that flavor will get into the bottom of the rolls. So that's the only reason why I'm putting this butter in my pan. But go ahead and prepare your pan first. Next, we're going to make the filling for our cinnamon rolls so that we can have that all done and set it aside. You're going to need some brown sugar. This is a cup of brown sugar that I'm using. To that, we're going to be adding some cinnamon in here. This is 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. And it may seem like a lot of cinnamon, but after all, these are cinnamon rolls. I like to kind of mix this up first before I go in with my butter because it makes it more evenly combined. So I'm going to use maybe about half a cup, fourth of a cup, not very many. You don't need a ton of them. Now I'm going to go in with butter. And this is softened butter. Make sure it's softened. Okay, now it's time for us to make our dough. I am using my food processor, but you can simply use a bowl and hand mix it. You don't really need to do this, but I love my food processor. And you're going to be using 2 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. You will see me putting in 4 cups because this is a half-cup measuring device, okay? So I am not putting 4 cups in here. This is actually a half a cup measure. I'm going to add in some baking powder, buttermilk powder, salt, and sugar. We're going to pulse this just to incorporate it. Now we're going to add in our butter. Just put it in there and we're going to pulse this till it's kind of crumbly. Then we'll add in our liquid. Now we're going to slowly add in our milk. Okay, once it comes to a sticky dough, if you are using a food processor, you want to stop at that point and always pulse and not just put it on low or high so that you won't over mix it. Put a little flour down on your work surface. Add some additional flour in there because your dough will be really sticky. We're going to just knead this just until it comes to a soft ball. Nothing hard, nothing much. We are rolling it into a rectangle. Okay, Now we're going to spread our filling on here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to get it on here. Okay, now starting from the long side that's closest to you, go ahead and easily start lifting it up so that you can get it rolled. And I'm going to put a little flour back on my surface. The side where the seam is, kind of go in there and pinch it together so that it can stay. That's where that little extra flour came in at. All the way to the ends. Make sure if you have any pieces like this that come open, take a little piece of dough from your edges because you're not really going to need that. Go in and kind of just patch it up a little bit, just so your filling won't ooze out while it's baking. Okay, now from here we're going to actually slice them, and as you can see, it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine is not perfect. Cut that little end off there. I like to cut the ends off of both sides, and I'll have some that may come out a little bit larger than others. And you can make them as big or as small as you want. I don't mind having mine different size because sometimes I want a small piece, sometimes I want a big piece. Okay, get your baking dish, and you can go ahead and put them in there standing up like that. You can double the recipe if you want. You can make as many or as little amount as you like. Okay. Now we're going to bake these in a 400-degree oven for about 20-25 minutes, and we'll be back. These are absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Ooh, this is hot and very, very heavy. So that's my oven going off, y'all. Okay, so while these have just come out of the oven, the next thing that we need to do is make our glaze for it. You want them to cool just a little bit so that when you put the glaze on it, it just doesn't disintegrate and melt away. And you also don't want to make your glaze so early because as it sits, it'll stiffen up and you'll need to add a little bit more milk or something to loosen it up. So we want to do it step by step. So I'm going to let these cool for just a minute, then we'll make our glaze and we'll get it put on. Okay, so we are cool enough, I think, to go ahead and at least make our glaze. So I've got some powdered sugar here and some milk. Just a tad bit of vanilla extract to my glaze, 1/8 of a teaspoon. For one, it takes that bright white color off of it, and it adds a little bit of flavor to it. And you can always blend this in a blender if you just want to make sure you have it extra smooth. That is delicious. Okay. I have a few chopped walnuts that I'm going to be putting in here, and you can just pour the glaze over it for as much or as little as you like. Now, once I get that first coating of glaze on there, I like to go in with a few nuts, sprinkle those over the top, and then I'll glaze again so that some of that glaze can kind of set over the nuts, keeping them in there as well. They look so good, y'all. I want y'all to see this. Oh my goodness. Ah, look at that, look at that. Don't they? Oh, I gotta put my elbows down. This pan is heavy, y'all. Look, y'all. Look at these no yeast, no rise time, no waiting cinnamon rolls. Don't they look amazing? Oh my goodness. Ooh, it's time for a taste test. Oh, y'all, this smells so good. I wish we had smell-o-vision. And those little ends that you saw me cut off, I put them in here too. You use everything, okay? And so I got a little miniature one just for my taste test right now. Oh my goodness. Ooh, and I need to go grab a fork. Nuts. Ooh. Let me see if you all can see the inside. Let me see if you can see the inside. Look at that. So nice and fluffy. And no, it's not yeast. But we don't need all that yeast either. I'm just saying. I don't need all that yeast either. How about that? These are so good. These are so delicious. Y'all gonna love these, especially because they're quick and easy. Okay, do they have the texture of the yeast rolls? No, they're not yeast rolls, okay? But if you want to use some yeast and let them rise, cover them up, let them rise again, and let them keep on rising, you are more than welcome. But for me, I don't want the rise. I don't want the time. I just want to make them and have a nice snack. I couldn't help it, y'all. I have so many people come for me in the comments. That's not a cinnamon roll. It's not yeast. I'm just saying. Okay? No, it's not. Now, there you have it. Okay. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming in, hanging out with me today here in my kitchen. Please take a second and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell so you won't miss anything. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. The good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye-bye.